The Galactic Academy's training grounds fell silent as Dean Vorath's massive form cast a shadow across the assembled cadets. His four eyes swept over the recruits, lingering on the peculiar group that had just shattered every combat record in the institution's 3,000-year history. "Impossible," Vorath rumbled, his translator struggling with the disbelief in his voice. The holographic display still showed the results. 7 minutes. 7 minutes for a team to complete what typically took seasoned warriors an hour. The Predator Cubs, as they'd been nicknamed, stood at attention, their various forms representing some of the galaxy's most feared warrior races. Kor, a Vaxian hunter standing nearly 8 feet tall with obsidian scales and retractable claws that could slice through steel, remained perfectly still. Around him, 5 others of similar predatory species held identical postures. Each came from worlds where they were apex predators, where hunting was coded into their very DNA. "Who trained you?" Dean Vorath demanded, his crest flaring with agitation. "What military academy did you attend before this? What Black Ops program?" The question hung in the air. Then as one, all 6 cadets' eyes shifted. Not their heads, that would have broken their rigid attention stance, but their eyes. They looked to the side, toward a figure that Vorath had barely registered. Lyra stood apart from the group, her small frame seemingly insignificant among the towering warriors. She was human, barely 5.5 feet tall, with dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. No scales, no claws, no natural armor. Just soft skin, blunt teeth, and a body that by galactic standards seemed laughably fragile. Vorath's translator crackled with static, as if the device itself found the concept difficult to process. Kor's gravelly voice finally broke the silence. "Yes, Dean. Instructor Lyra." The Dean's crest flattened in what could only be described as confusion. "The human. The unarmed combat instructor?" He pulled up her file on his datapad, scrolling through it with increasing bewilderment. "She has no military background. No formal training from any recognized institution. She was a—" He paused, checking the translation twice. "A gym teacher on her homeworld." "Yes, sir," Lyra said, stepping forward. Her voice was calm, almost casual, in a way that seemed to unsettle Vorath more than any aggressive display would have. "This is unacceptable," Vorath declared. "These cadets have broken records set by warriors trained by the finest military minds in the galaxy. And you expect me to believe a human with no formal combat training?" "With respect, Dean," Kor interrupted, and several faculty members gasped at the breach of protocol. The Vaxian's eyes never left Lyra. "You're asking the wrong question." "Then enlighten me." "Cadet, you shouldn't ask who trained us," Kor said, his voice carrying a note of something that might have been reverence. "You should ask how she trained us." Lyra smiled slightly, and there was something in that expression that made Vorath's combat instincts, honed over decades, suddenly scream a warning. "My species," Lyra began, walking slowly around the group of cadets, "evolved differently than most of yours. We weren't the strongest or the fastest or the most naturally armed. We were prey, Dean Vorath. For most of our evolution, we were food." She stopped beside a cadet from Thrax's Prime, a species with natural bioelectric attacks. "So we learned to hunt differently. We learned persistence. We learned patience. We learned to track prey for days, weeks even, until they collapsed from exhaustion. We learned to see patterns, to predict behavior, to adapt. This is basic predator theory," Vorath protested, though his voice had lost some of its certainty. "No," Kor said softly, "it's not. What she taught us," he struggled for the words, "it's not about being a predator. It's about being an impossible predator, one that never stops, never tires, never gives up." Lyra nodded. "I didn't teach them new fighting techniques. Every species here already knows how to kill, it's in their nature. What I taught them was how to think like humans, how to see every weakness, every opportunity, how to turn disadvantages into advantages, how to make your opponent fear not your strength, but your inevitability." She turned to face Vorath directly, and for the first time, the Dean saw something in those unremarkable human eyes that made his combat instincts scream louder. "I taught them that the scariest predator isn't the one with the biggest claws or the strongest bite. It's the one that looks at an impossible situation and simply refuses to accept impossibility. The one that gets knocked down and stands back up again and again until the enemy breaks first." "The endurance protocol," Vorath whispered, suddenly understanding. It was a human training method that had been circulating through military circles, dismissed by most as mythology. Stories of human soldiers who continued fighting with injuries that should have killed them. Of human commanders who won battles through sheer stubborn refusal to lose. Day one, Core said. She made us run. All of us apex predators from high-gravity worlds, and this small human ran beside us. We sprinted, she jogged. We tired, she didn't. After an hour, we were gasping. She asked if we wanted to stop. We said yes, another cadet added. A Krell with bone-crushing jaw strength. She said no. We ran for 6 more hours. Some of us collapsed. She carried us, still jogging, and then made us continue. She taught us, a third cadet continued, her serpentine form coiling with the memory, that our bodies lie to us, that pain is just information, that exhaustion is temporary, that the moment we think we can't continue is precisely when we've only used 40% of our capacity. Lyra's smile widened slightly. I taught them the most important lesson humans learn: never quit. Not when you're tired. Not when you're hurt. Not when every instinct screams at you to stop. You quit only when the mission is complete or you're dead, preferably the former. Dean Vorath looked at the cadets again, seeing them with new eyes. They weren't just trained warriors anymore. They were something else. Something that combined the natural predatory instincts of their species with the terrifying, relentless persistence of humanity. The other teams, Vorath said slowly, the ones they competed against in the exercise. They were all more experienced, better equipped. Yes, Lyra confirmed, and they all quit. Not because they couldn't win, but because they thought they couldn't win. My cubs, she used the term with obvious affection, they never even considered that option. Core's eyes met Vorath's. She made us understand something. Dean, in the galaxy there are species stronger than us, faster than us, better armed than us. But there are no species more stubborn, more persistent, more absolutely refusing to accept defeat than humans. And now, his claws extended slightly unconsciously, we aren't just predators anymore. We're human-trained predators. The Dean was silent for a long moment. Finally, he deactivated his datapad and looked at Lyra with something approaching respect and perhaps a hint of concern. I suppose, he said carefully, the rest of the faculty should be informed about your methods? Lyra's smile became almost predatory. Oh, Dean Vorath, they already are. Why do you think enrollment in my class has a 3-semester waiting list? As Vorath walked away, he could hear Lyra addressing her cadets, her voice carrying across the training ground. Good work today, cubs. Tomorrow we start Phase 2, teaching you to smile while you're winning. It unnerves the enemy. The Dean shuddered slightly. Perhaps, he thought, the galaxy wasn't quite ready for what happened when humanity's persistence met other species' predatory instincts. But ready or not, the predator cubs had arrived.